Sabrina Chen, you're the worldwide product marketing manager for networking at Synology headquarters in Taipei. Your company has a very good reputation for user-friendly network-attached storage systems. Now you are going into Wi-Fi. How come, and can you tell a little more about this? But first, we will also introduce your colleague in Düsseldorf, Henning Wenzel. He is Product Manager Networking in the DACH region, which is Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. Welcome. Now, how come that you are going into mesh?
So, Synology is actually not new in the router or Wi-Fi market. We entered the router market at the end of 2015 when we launched this product, the RT1900ac. This is an 3x3 AC 1900 level router. And then in the beginning of 2016, we launched another router. This is an AC Wave 2 4x4 router that supports MU-MIMO, an AC 2600 level router. These two products gave us a great success. They both won a lot of awards from trade shows and media worldwide. Like the RT900AC, it won the Innovation Awards from CES, and then the RT2600AC, it won the Editor's Choice Award from CNET.
So you say 4 times 4, was it this? Is it that that it has 4 antennas?
Yes, so 4 times 4 means that it has four antennas that can transmit and receive signals at one time. As we are making these routers, we found out that a single router is sometimes not enough to cover a huge area. And that is why we want to come up with our own mesh products, because in a mesh systems, you can use multiple Wi-Fi points to form a large networks to extend your Wi-Fi network even further. And this mesh router is an AC2200 level tri-band router. It can work with the existing RT2600AC to form a mesh network, or it can work on its own. So several of these MR2200ac can work with each other to form a mesh system.
So you say mesh points. Is it better than Wi-Fi repeaters?
So with Wi-Fi repeaters, you normally need to manually connect the repeaters to your routers. And then the management can be a bit complex because devices connected to your repeaters might not be seen on your router's management interface. That means you cannot manage the devices that's connected to the repeaters. And also repeaters have some limitations in its Wi-Fi because, for example, a repeater cannot connect to another repeater. It can only connect to a router, which doesn't allow it to do something we call daisy chaining, meaning that a router is first connected to a mesh point, and then the mesh point is connected to a second mesh point. That is how it's different. And also, a mesh system is capable of something we call self-forming and self-healing, meaning that if you don't have to worry about how to connect all the mesh points in your network. They can automatically form a mesh network decided by the algorithm of the software. And then whenever one of the mesh points suddenly got disconnected, maybe got unplugged from the power, the rest of the mesh points can automatically detect the change and then reconnect with each other again in order to minimize your internet downtime.
Henning, is it true that repeaters are slower than mesh points?
You always need to keep in mind that if you have multiple repeaters that are connected to a router, that you reduce the bandwidth that is present for your end devices, and you have to reduce it by half. And in case of the mesh solution we offer, if we have our mesh router in the middle and we connect mesh point next to it, and since it's a 3-band router which connects to a 5 GHz backhaul directly to the mesh router in the middle, so to the central router, you don't have this huge impact on your bandwidth that gets deducted to your end device.
So you have three channels, and the third channel, the highest channel, is something like the gigabit cable. Is it right?
We have the backhaul, that's right. We use the 5 gigahertz channel to create this backhaul, if it is possible, to connect with 5 gigahertz to the central router. And this will be the connection that is used to transfer the data between the end device and to the router in the central.
Sabrina, where do you see the typical market for Wi-Fi mesh systems? Is it something for smaller and consumers, or is it for businesses, or is it for large enterprises? Where do you see the market?
I would say it's mainly for consumers and small business right now. Because if you think about how this mesh Wi-Fi trend got started, it's because people want better Wi-Fi coverage in their house. They want to eliminate these spots. And yet they want the almost plug-and-play solution. They don't want to use, they don't want to wire their whole house with Ethernet cable to set up access points. And they also don't like to use low-performance repeaters that is also complicated to manage. And I think the situation is more or less the same with small offices. They also want a hassle-free way to cover their whole house with Wi-Fi. But for small offices, their requirements will be a bit more than home users because they may also need to enforce corporate internet usage policy. They need to do QoS, they need to run VPN for remote workers, etc. And all of these aspects are currently missing in most mesh systems, which is why that's the challenge we want to address.
So Henning, similar questions. Where do you see the benefits, especially for the end user of mesh systems as opposed to the reseller and so?
As she already mentioned, I think for the end user it is the benefit to have a really good Wi-Fi coverage at home, for example. And so you don't have any dead spots where you don't have any Wi-Fi signal with your mobile end devices. Another very interesting way is that you have this handshake between those mesh points, so that you have the roaming for your mobile end devices. For example, you start watching a stream in the living room, and you're feeling tired, you want to go to sleep, but you don't want to miss the last 5 minutes of the movie. So you take your mobile device with you, you keep watching, go to the bedroom, lay down, the access point will switch, but the mobile end device won't even recognize that it's now connected to a different access point. Then you can directly watch the end of your movie and go to sleep. So that's, for example, one different way to use those access points at home, so you don't really see the difference if you are connected to mesh point A or to mesh point B, which is closer to your bedroom in this case.
Now we were talking about the end user. Somebody has to sell it for you normally. Does this kind of dealers or systems integrators, in the case of businesses, also have advantages on these systems as opposed to repeaters?
First of all, we sell those devices, of course, to our partners through our distribution channel. And what we also offer is that we train and to show all the new features of our devices to our partners first. So we have our webinars, which we publish to our partners, that directly show how to implement those devices in a real-world scenario. And of course, we already have many partners that use our NAS systems. So in this case, if you just want to have a complete Wi-Fi solution in a business environment where you already have our NAS solutions, you have just one contact window. You can contact if you have any issues, if you have any questions. So for them, it is really easy to sell directly both features to the customer. So you have your complete Wi-Fi solution by Synology, as well as the NAS solutions we already offer for a long time.
So you're always talking about the German perspective. On the international basis, would it be the same benefits for your dealers? Are you worldwide working with dealers?
Yes, we are selling in more than I think 140 countries in the world.
How many?
140.
140 countries.
But that is for NAS, and because for Wi-Fi we need to pass the certification in each country, so the router is selling in a bit less countries. But like in most of the country, in a lot of countries, especially in OPU, we sell both NAS and router together. And from another product point of view, like the benefits for dealers and integrators, that I think the easy management and setup, because before if a business customers want to ask an integrator to set up a Wi-Fi solution for them, then it typically involves maybe setting up a dedicated Wi-Fi controller, involves a lot of Ethernet wiring in order to set up APs, etc. But sometimes a small office doesn't want that kind of cost and that kind of efforts. That is why a mesh Wi-Fi system, I think now it provides an alternative. It's a new way to fulfill the Wi-Fi requirements, but in a much more easy, clean, and streamlined manner. And also, I think because it is so easy to set up and manage, you can use a mobile app to manage most mesh systems. The integrators can also allow their customers to do some basic administration and monitoring on their own day to day. They don't need to do everything for the customers every day.
So it sounds everything very well when you talk about mesh, but do these systems also have disadvantages? Somebody dares to say something?
So for most mesh systems I see on the market nowadays, it mostly comes from the software. Maybe it's because the mesh systems are originally designed to solve your Wi-Fi problem. It's originally designed for home users. So they are missing a lot of features that are available in many high-end routers like QoS, VPN, or in many mesh systems, their guest network is reduced to a toggle button where you can only choose to enable or not. I think this kind of puts limits to its applicability in many environments because business users need those features, and even prosumers need those features in their smart home.
What about prices? Mesh is more expensive than repeaters, is it right?
It always depends on the performance of those repeaters, but in general, you can say that mesh devices are somewhat more expensive than the repeaters. That's true. Yes.
But the standard specs for mesh routers are normally much better than repeaters. For example, most repeaters are dual band at most, so it's like an AC 1300 level device, whereas mesh routers, they can be as high as tri-band, so AC 2200 for example, and that will give you much better performance when you try to extend the Wi-Fi signal. And also the CPU on the mesh router is much more capable since it needs to act as a router as well.
So they normally cost more, but they give you more performance and more comfort.
Exactly.
You always get what you pay for, isn't it?
That's true. Yes.
What about compatibility? A big advantage of Wi-Fi so far was that you can mix vendor systems. Will it work with mesh or is it more proprietary?
I think most mesh systems don't allow you to mix and match between different vendors, and that's for a valid reason because mesh points need to talk to each other and communicate with each other so that they know when to tell the client that it's a good time to switch its connection to another mesh point, which help with the seamless roaming. But if the mesh points actually come from different vendors, then the software on these products are different. The way that implements roaming or other supports are different. So it becomes a bit hard. It's like they are speaking two different languages.
Do you think that they probably will come closer together, that they will work together, different vendor mesh systems in the future, in the far or in the near future? Or does it make no sense?
Some vendors they have come up with something called a mesh extender that they claim they can connect to routers or modem routers from another vendors. But with these products, you always lose many of these products you need to work. It will depend on the client's support. So they say it can achieve seamless roaming between the mesh extender and the router on the condition that the client needs to support some roaming standards. And in many cases, the client don't support that. So it kind of, if you want to make the mesh systems from two vendors work together, then it's just like the traditional repeaters. You depends on whether clients want to roam or not.
So there are about 2 or 3 dozen mesh vendors or vendors who claim that they do have mesh systems. In which points are you better? Do you have a unique selling point where you say these are the points where we are especially good?
I would say that mesh is not the newest thing anymore. So as you said, there are many vendors that already have mesh products, but as we already mentioned, it's not only about having Wi-Fi with one single SSID. I think it's more about how you can use this Wi-Fi and how granular you can set it up. I think the most important parts are not only that you have the Wi-Fi, you just have, for example, a big household, and your household becomes more and more smart. You have more IoT devices at home, and you want to keep it safe. And that's something we want to make sure with our software that is running on our mesh systems in order to have a safe network at home. Mm-hmm. So we will offer many very enterprise level security features that can be used within our mesh router in order to keep your network safe at home.
Sabrina, you always mentioned that your company is with the mesh system, in the NAS systems already in 140 countries. So this Wi-Fi product will also have a worldwide rollout. When will it come? When will it come to the German-speaking countries?
So it will come to the EU and including the German-speaking countries in Q3 this year, I think.
Which is late summer or so?
Yes.
Uh-huh. And can you already say something about the price? How much will one mesh point cost?
I cannot disclose the price at the moment, but we believe that the price will be at the same range as other very popular mesh, tri-band mesh systems on the market. Mm-hmm. And although even as I already said, our mesh system offers much more better than mesh Wi-Fi, but the price will still be similar to others.
Mm-hmm. And Henning, you are also responsible for the channels in the German-speaking countries. Where will the end user buy this product, and which channels will they use?
First of all, we will have the same channels as with our NAS systems, meaning that the partners will be able to buy the devices from our distribution, and the end user will be able to buy those devices from our partners, like from onliners that we have listed on our website, for example, as well as system integrators, if you have a company where you want to set up those mesh routers in your company.
Mm-hmm. Last question. Can you probably show the products again that we see them? And
sure.
Do you have 2 mesh points here?
That's right.
And does it make sense to use one mesh point, or do you start typically with 2 mesh points?
The good thing about the mesh router is that you can also use it as a single router device. That means you can use it really only the mesh router with the same software running on our RT1900ac or on the RT2600ac. So all those features those 2 routers offer are already included in this device as well. And if you want to go on from there and you want to expand your Wi-Fi, you have the option to extend them with further mesh routers. But for example, if you already have your RT2600 at home and you think you want to enhance your Wi-Fi, you don't have to throw it away. Of course not, because it's possible to enhance your Wi-Fi signal with our mesh routers that we will offer in the late summer.
Okay, thank you very much. Sabrina Chen from Synology World Headquarters in Taiwan, and Henning Wenzel from DACH region, which is Germany, Austria, and Switzerland.